Well, obviously the storm's still the big story today. It has come and gone, sweeping across the Carolina coast. Overnight, it left behind a wake of damage. Thanks for joining us on the 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton alongside Maddie Gardner.
Yes, cleanup is now underway after then Hurricane Isaias made landfall in North Carolina overnight. We have full team coverage, including where the storm is now. We want to begin with WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty. She's live in Wrightsville Beach nearly 24 hours after Isaias hit.
Hey everybody, we are again live, as Maddie said, on Wrightsville Beach, right near Johnny Mercer's Pier. This is really where we were live last night for the 11 o'clock news, but it looks completely different now than it did less than 24 hours ago. If you take a look, there are so many people now on the beach just enjoying this beautiful weather. It is very hot out, it's very humid, but the breeze is nice. It's nothing like the winds that brought all of the sand down into this parking lot here. This is again what we were visualizing yesterday, and this is after some of the crews took some time to clean this up this afternoon, and there is still so much here to be done. That's just because of the strength of this hurricane that came through around the time that we again were going live around 11 o'clock last night. Now, of course, the cleanup workers, they are doing this. They are working on making sure that all of this is cleaned up. However, there are also workers, crews throughout Wrightsville Beach and also other parts of Wilmington and other parts of the coast really working on power outages. Again, we wanted to emphasize this is where we were yesterday. We kind of wanted to give you a compare contrast. If you did watch our 11 o'clock newscast, these buildings, the lights were flickering on and off for pretty much the whole time that we were live. We even saw a few transformers blow over here. And then just today, we wanted to assess the damage in this part of New Hanover County, where Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach are located. Luckily, they didn't sustain as much damage as other parts of the North Carolina coast, such as Brunswick County. So officials did tell me that they're really lucky that this was the case because they knew it could be worse, but they were expecting downed trees and debris, and that's a lot of what we saw as we were driving around today. But I do want to give you another scope of the parking lot. Crews were working very hard to get all of the sand off, but there was so much blowing up from the beach last night that it's going to be a few days process. It's also going to take a few days to restore all of the power for folks out here on the coast, but Duke Energy does tell me that they are working as hard and as fast as they can. We will have more, of course, coming up in 5 and 6 o'clock.
All right, Alma, thank you so much. Unfortunately, the storm did turn deadly when it hit North Carolina. Both deaths are in Bertie County, where a suspected tornado hit a mobile home park. This was near Windsor. The deputies spent the morning going door to door. They were still trying to help people and find a few residents who were still missing as of this morning. The sheriff says the damage is unlike anything he has seen before.
It's bad. It doesn't look real, something that you see on TV, but I've been with the sheriff's office for 38 years, and I know the mobile home park, and it's like nothing is there. So it's bad.
The other big headline, all the power outages at the height of the storm. There were more than 350,000 people down east in the dark.
And already those pictures and videos are coming in showing not only what the damage looks like today, but what the storm looked like last night. We'll start there. This video from CBS News. This was taken at Oak Island. You can see the storm surge was really the main issue as that water rushes up. Cars were in that flood water as well, coming up to homes. So a lot of storm surge damage in Oak Island in that part of North Carolina. This is a look at what the National Guard was doing today, working with first responders for search and rescue missions. This was outside of Windsor there. You can see power lines down, trees and debris. Our own Brian Hall tweeted out this picture someone sent him from Emerald Isle. Some deer able to get out and explore the sand dunes this morning. Certainly a lot of sand washed up with that storm, as you saw Alma showing us even in Wilmington. And then the Brunswick County Sheriff posting this picture of East Ocean Isle Beach. Look at this car right here in a puddle where the storm surge just came up and completely moved those two vehicles right there on the coast and even took down a fence.
Well, Governor Roy Cooper just gave an update on the storm and how it's impacted North Carolinians. He spoke about just how quick that storm moved across our area and also how quick crews got working on the cleanup. No small effort there. The governor also said he'd been in touch with President Trump and the federal government is standing by to help with resources if that becomes necessary.
Fortunately, this storm was fast moving and has already left our state. Today's sunny skies will let us assess the damage and begin cleanup right away. Our North Carolina Department of Transportation crews have been out all day clearing roadways and removing debris.
And of course, we'll keep you posted on any information that comes out of that federal aid.
Well, Isaias is now a tropical storm and it is heading up the east coast. Off the coast of New Jersey, you can see just how strong that wind still is and how big the waves are getting there. There have already been several tornado warnings as it moves along. Isaias has lost a lot of steam since making landfall in North Carolina. But still, millions of Americans are bracing for heavy rain and floods. In New York City, officials installed a flood barrier system in Lower Manhattan. The 37-foot-long tubes will be filled with water along the edge of the East River. That's to prevent massive flooding. Of course, we will continue to bring you updates on the storm all night on WFMY News 2. Forsyth County Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough spoke ahead of an expected video release in the death of John Neville. Neville died in the Forsyth County Jail last year. 5 former officers and a nurse are now charged in his death. Ahead of the video's release, Sheriff Kimbrough spoke about training and medical changes that Neville's death prompted. He also says there are plans to rename the part of the jail known as 4 South the John E. Neville Housing Unit.
While we knew him as John Neville, you knew him as father. And that's what my decision was based on. That's what my decisions have been based on. Because while I never got a chance to meet him, just based on my conversation with you and how you and your family have handled this, I respected you and I respected the decisions that you asked, and that's why we have done that.
Well, we will have much more on this story coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5. You can also find more information on WFMYnews2.com. Well, most kids won't go back to a classroom for at least 9 weeks once the first day of school arrives, but that doesn't mean they don't need school supplies or that their teachers don't need materials. The Guilford Education Alliance says their teacher supply warehouse is usually full of teachers picking up free school supplies. But this year, supply drives have dropped off, and now they need donations.
We know there's a lot of uncertainties with 2020, 2021. But we do know that school will continue, whether it's online or it's remote. And so we want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of students and teachers.
Karen Hornfeck with GEA says, if anything, students and teachers will need more supplies this year with the new COVID rules in place.
Typically, there would be supplies that teachers would let students share. So scissors and crayons and markers, things like that. We know now that best practices for COVID prevention are that each child has their own supplies and they do not share. So that's really increased demand for some of those basic supplies.
Right now, they are accepting donated school supplies, money to buy supplies at wholesale cost, and you can even buy directly from their Amazon wish list and have those supplies shipped to them. The Alliance is working on a contactless pickup system for Guilford County teachers. Hornfeck says they already have so much to worry about, and making sure teachers have the tools to help kids succeed is something easy that the community can do to help them right now.
Well, you know, on the 4 to 5, we are all about a good meal deal. Well, coming up, we have one that'll have foodies lined up for blocks in Greensboro. Stick around.
Hi, let's test it. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope everything's working. I don't know why it didn't work before. Hopefully it's working now.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. So Isaias is continuing to move up the East Coast, where you can see it's causing some choppy surf. This is out near New Jersey, and some high winds as well. So we want to check in with Christian Morgan here to give us the forecast, because it's back to normal sunny summer days here in the Triad.
Yeah, it didn't take very long for that to happen, did it? We are back to typical summer weather. This thing was a quick mover, too, and so that's helped us out quite a bit. Normally, when we get a system like this in North Carolina, it creeps along. This one, totally different this time around. There are some showers and a couple storms back in the foothills, but pretty much quiet day across the Triad. If we zoom out though and go up to the north, we can see where Isaias is now. It's actually causing quite a havoc in places like Maryland and the DC area already today, moving up through New York City, and this is kind of something that they've never had before. So they're having some of those tropical storm force winds in New York today from Isaias as well. You can see that on radar, but if we zoom out, all is quiet in the tropics right now, at least for the moment. There's nothing that we need to watch right now, so that is good news. Of course, that could change as we head deeper into summer and into September, to the peak of hurricane season. Across the Triad this afternoon, it's warm, upper 80s. Humidity, making it feel like upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. Tonight, we'll drop down to around 70 degrees. An isolated shower or storm can't be totally ruled out. And your planner for Wednesday starts out partly cloudy, but I do think we'll have to bring that chance back for some scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening hours. 7-day forecast, yep, typical summer weather continues. Upper 80s, close to 90 as we head towards the back half of the week. And we keep that pretty standard chance of some afternoon showers and storms in. 40% for Wednesday, a little better chance on Thursday and Friday, but then we fall back to those 30% chances as we head into the weekend.
Well, let's jump into your 4 to 5 roundup now. Triad bar owners are anxiously awaiting a decision from Governor Roy Cooper about whether we will enter Phase 3 this weekend and their businesses can reopen. Right now, Phase 2 requires bars to stay closed, but it's set to expire on Friday. Governor Cooper says he expects to make a decision tomorrow on what the next plan is in our state's reopening plan. Well, the list of toxic and potentially dangerous hand sanitizers is now more than 100 products long. Back in June, the FDA started warning consumers that some brands of sanitizer, mostly manufactured in Mexico, were contaminated with methanol, and that can be especially harmful to kids. We have a full list of the sanitizers you'll want to avoid on WFNYnews2.com. Police were called to a Los Angeles mansion on Monday over concerns about the size of a party during the pandemic. Large gatherings are currently banned in LA as a way to stop the spread of COVID-19. Callers were reportedly concerned with the number of people at the party who did not appear to be wearing masks. Police responded, but were not allowed to enter the house without a warrant. Instead, they monitored for traffic and for noise. And weeks of gathering food donations from across the Triad paid off today. The Fellowship Presbyterian Church has hosted a food drive once a week for the last 4 months and teamed up with Ameritech, a Greensboro company, to gather all of those donations. And today they were able to drop off 5 van loads of non-perishable food items to Greensboro Urban Ministry.
This is really something that really hit home with everybody. We feel like, not only helping the community and the people who are suffering and are in need during this crisis, but it hit home with a lot of our employees personally.
And that's a look at some of today's big headlines in your 4 to 5 roundup.
Well, as restaurants try to remain safe but also get customers in the door, you can bet there are some deals out there, and there are. 1618 Midtown Restaurant in Greensboro has a deal for the ages. I spoke with General Manager Stacy Land to get the scoop.
Well, Stacy, I'm all about food, so when you talked about a supper club on certain Saturdays, I said I'm in. Explain how all this works.
So 1618 Midtown is doing Saturday supper clubs on the first and third Saturdays of the month. They're putting together a 5-course menu and doing limited seating, reservation only inside.
So let's talk about the menu, because obviously that's what people want to know. I mean, this is like the full-on several courses, and I'm assuming it changes every time you do this?
Absolutely. Our chefs would be mad if I made them do the same menu every week. They're too creative for that. So we do an amuse-bouche course as people arrive. So you've got a little something to nibble on because we stagger reservations. So then they move into salads and appetizers, entrees, desserts made by our amazing pastry chef. It's a pretty fun menu.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for the pastry chef, that's for sure. All right, let's talk about safety, because social distancing and all that is a big thing, and I'm sure that's a part of this program.
Absolutely. So like I said, we stagger the reservations. We have one every 5 minutes, and we ask you to text or call us when you get here just to make sure we don't have a clog at the front door. We're asking people to wear masks. So anytime your butt's not in the seat, you've got a mask on to go to the bathroom, to come in, or to leave. And all of our tables are at least 6 feet apart with like a buffer table in between, so there's plenty of room.
Well, it sounds wonderful. I cannot wait to try it out. And thank you for doing this. We appreciate it. Good luck with this program. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
All right, so if you need more information on this deal, I have linked you to their website. Just look for this story on WFNYnews2.com. It's a pretty good deal there. 4 to 5, we'll be right back. Stay there. We're coming at you.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. More baseball games are now postponed. This week's series between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers is postponed after 13 members of the Cardinals organization tested positive for coronavirus. Multiple games have now been delayed as the league tries to resume a travel schedule. But in the meantime, the NBA has had success moving its players into a bubble to play games. So I wanted to know what you thought about this. Will live sports ever be safe during the pandemic, or should we just wait until this passes? Let's take a look at what you had to say on my Facebook page. Steve said, no, players have the option to opt out this year. All these players are here because they want to play. We must go on. The country must go on. But Bobby Odom says, as much as it hurts to say this, I think yes, ouch, the player safety is more important than my entertainment. So, Eric, it does hurt to think about a world where sports do not exist and the NBA is having success, but that is such a controlled environment. They are testing players every day. They're able to get those results back every day. They're not interacting with the outside world. They're not traveling like Major League Baseball is. And I think that's why they're seeing more cases in baseball right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, the only factor that plays a role in this. Now, it's going to be interesting because the NFL is, arguably the largest draw in the country when it comes to sports, and baseball may be a close second or a tie. But I don't know how they're going to handle this. I wish, at some point, if you could test them every day, that would be great. But if I were a player, I'm not sure that I would sign up for that during during this particular situation, maybe next season.
Yeah, and we've seen several pro athletes say they're not doing it because they're thinking about their family and having to go home with them. Some even staying away from their family throughout this season. I think with professional sports, it's totally fine to try to achieve that bubble and to try to figure out what works for a travel schedule. But I'm looking at college sports. I'm looking at high school sports right now.
Yep.
Eric, you can't keep players in a controlled bubble like that.
I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they can do this in college and high school because, you know, you think about it, they're getting paid. The professionals are getting paid. They have the right to say, hey, I want to play or I don't. But when you're a student, that's a fine line. And I don't think colleges or high schools want that responsibility.
Well, this is a two-way street. We also want to hear your opinions about this. Join our conversation. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just use our hashtag 4 to 5. We'll be back.
Well, taking a look outside across the Triad, it's a fairly quiet afternoon of weather. It actually has ended up being a pretty nice day of weather after Isaias pulled away from us. There are some showers and a few storms moving through the foothills, but for us here in the Triad at the moment, all is quiet. Where is Isaias right now? Well, actually, it's about 50 miles southwest of Albany, New York. It's been picking up speed and racing through the north, and I'll tell you what, there's actually 3 million people across the mid-Atlantic without power. Yes, there are more people, more populated areas, but those trees and those environments just aren't as used to tropical storms and dealing with the kind of weather that we deal with here in North Carolina. That makes a difference too. This cold front coming across the foothills actually helping to steer Isaias up and away from us, but we keep the warm air and we keep high pressure to our north. A little bit of low pressure though with this front across the Triad area. That'll help us pop off some storms over the next few afternoons. 70 tonight, back hot and muggy as we head towards the end of the week.
All right, so pets get loose all the time, but this first video is something you certainly don't see every day. You will be looking at a runaway ostrich running down the street in the Philippines. Crazy story here. It happened near Manila. A resident captured the bird running behind a car. It was also being followed by a dog. Turns out it wasn't the only bird on the loose. A second bird was later spotted in the same area. Both reportedly got out from a home in a nearby village. It took them a few hours, but both ostriches were eventually captured and returned to their home.
Oh, so many memes will come out of that video. All right, well, what would you do if you were ever trapped on a deserted island? Write SOS in really big letters in the sand. That's what you need to do. 3 Micronesian sailors ran out of fuel and disappeared at sea. Eventually, the Save Our Souls message did catch the attention of rescuers. A helicopter with first responders and supplies was able to go pick them up and get them back to safety. You know, you see this in the movie, you see it on TV, but you don't actually expect to be able to write SOS and really get some help.
It is literally like every movie I've ever seen that had someone stranded on an island.
That's what we're dealing with.
I know. I can't believe it. Seems to me like, if you think about this, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd have a level head enough to go, let's figure this out and lay all that out. You'd probably be in panic mode for a while.
I don't know, Christian. It would not be my first instinct either, but I'm sure that you would have figured it out.
Well, you know, I don't know if the first thing I would do is write SOS. I've always been a fan of Bear Grylls and watching his show. So I think after watching that for so many years, I think I could try to use some of his techniques to at least survive for a couple days.
Maybe I would just take enough fuel to begin with. I don't know. I'd hope I was prepared, but I'm not the type to really push to survive out there, I don't think, fellas. I need some SOS, always. All right, we're going to head to break, but continue to chat with us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And use our hashtag 4to5. That's how we can see your comment. We'll be back.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Good afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton, joined by Maddie Gardner. Hurricane Isaias took aim at North Carolina and moved in quickly and is already moving out.
Yeah, but that storm left behind a big mess. Thousands of people are still without power, and emergency responders are working around the clock to help people in need. Let's take a look at some pictures out of Oak Island. Jamie Austin sent these to us after that storm moved through, and you can see just how high the storm surge was. Debris was swept in, roads damaged and flooded, even some cars were moved. The city described the event as significant damage and said the damage assessment team would be out all day today. Flooding at campgrounds on the coast was also an issue.
It came quick and we weren't expecting this much water, but we had to deal with it, and now it's deciding and it's going away, which is a good thing.
That storm surge was quick, and so was the rainfall. In just a 24-hour period, 2 to 5 inches of rain fell in eastern North Carolina.
Well, all of that rain and also hurricane force wind gusts, they left hundreds of thousands of people in the dark. And at one point, more than 350,000 people lost power. Take a look at the current Duke Energy outage map. About 170,000 people are still without power in the state. A good chunk of those, of course, right along the coast. Crews from across the state are now helping get the lights back on, including some workers from High Point who went to the coast to help. Duke Energy says work has changed because of the pandemic, but they are still working as quickly as they can.
So a lot of this work will be done in a distanced, different way. Now that doesn't mean that they can't be effective, that they won't be effective. They've prepared for this. This is what they expected, and so they'll be working hard to get power restored as safely and quickly as they can.
Duke Energy is asking that everybody keep clear of downed power lines and crews so that the work to restore that power can happen more quickly.
Taking a look outside, Isaias has now pulled away from North Carolina. And it's just a nice, typical summer day of weather. Pretty quiet across the Tri. There are some showers and storms back in the foothills, but that's pretty much where they're going to stay today. Well, where is Isaias right now? It's about 50 miles southwest of Albany, New York. Yeah, it's been racing. Remember, it was in North Carolina at 11 o'clock last night. It also has been picking up speed as it's moved to the north. It's been a busy and pretty scary day of weather for our folks to the north. And you also have to think about the fact there are 3 million people without power across the mid-Atlantic states. Yes, there's more people, but their environment, their ecosystem, their trees aren't really used to the type of weather that we have here in North Carolina, so that makes a difference. The good news is that if you look out over the Atlantic right now, things are quiet. There are no systems that we need to watch, at least for the next 5 to 7 days. After that, no guarantees. Do take a look at some of these wind gusts, all hurricane force wind gusts, by the way, from Isaias last night. Oak Island registered an 87 mile per hour wind gust, Southport an 83 mile per hour gust, and all across the North Carolina coast, strong wind gusts closer to the center of where Isaias was tracking. We're left with a nice day of weather here in the Triad as the storm is pulled away from us. Mid-80s across the area. It is a little bit muggy, so it makes it feel like the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees, but it is a cooler summer day of weather by a couple degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 70 degrees. Can't rule out an isolated shower or storm. Your Wednesday, well, a lot like today, we will have a little better chance for some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with a front that's going to be pretty close by to us. But it's typical summer weather for the next 7 days, upper 80s, close to 90. A little better chance for some of those showers and storms on the back half of the week, but it goes back down to about a 30% chance as we head into the weekend.
Well, let's take a look now at your 4 to 5 roundup and today's top headlines. Wake Forest athletic officials announced changes to how the games will look in the fall. All events will require social distancing and mask wearing. Now, because of this, tickets will be sold on a game-by-game basis and not for the entire season. Ticket holders who are not comfortable at a game can get a full refund, roll tickets to the 2021 season, or donate the money to the Athletic Scholarship Fund. Health officials in Australia are rolling out some new restrictions to try to stop the spread of COVID-19. So starting tomorrow, more businesses will shut down days after a nighttime curfew was put into place. A stay-at-home order was also put back into place, and officials say anyone who violates it could be fined thousands of dollars. Military and health teams will also randomly knock on doors to make sure people who should be self-isolating are at home. And tomorrow, you can get tested for COVID-19 for free in Greensboro. Cone Health is once again partnering with Mount Zion Baptist Church to put on a free testing event. In addition to providing a location, the church also announced they will donate $5,000 to help continue testing efforts. Tomorrow's event gets underway from 8 a.m. until noon.
Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, they're seeing a shortage in the number of children enrolled in kindergarten. School officials tell WFMY News 2's Aduria Chumba that time is running out.
School starts in 2 weeks with remote learning, and Winston-Salem Forsyth County school officials say they are down almost 800 students in their incoming kindergarten class, this compared to last year. They say the uncertainty that the pandemic is creating is making parents hesitant to enroll their little ones.
He's got a little shirt from his elementary school that he's going to be joining that he really is excited to wear, but he's sad that it won't be in person.
Katie's son and Lee's son is heading to kindergarten, but he'll be doing it from home. With the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, many parents are opting out of the public school system to homeschool or just postponing kindergarten.
The thought has crossed my mind that we could just skip this year and redshirt him and wait for next year.
At the start of last school year, Winston-Salem Forsyth County school officials said they recorded nearly 4,000 enrollments. This year will be the first year of an online enrollment process, and district officials say parents have only enrolled about 3,100 incoming kindergartners.
They think because we're not in schools and we're working remotely that they can't enroll their child, since this is a new concept.
Enrollment numbers determine school districts' budgets and teacher hiring, and officials are urging parents to enroll their kids now.
Kindergarten is a wonderful beginning of school experience for students. Lots of connections are made, lots of learning takes place, lots of relationship building, and we can do those things in a remote setting.
Again, you can enroll your child using a portal on the district's website or by calling the school directly to get help with the process.
The countdown, it is on. The first day of school, of course, is August the 17th, which is just shy of 2 weeks away. And while there will be 9 weeks of remote learning, the hope for many is that it's not going to stay that way.
There'll come that time where we get to come back to the building and we get to have that face-to-face interaction. Right now, we're just having to do it virtually because ultimately we want them to remain safe.
Well, the school board won't vote on which scenario happens after that first 9 weeks until October. In the meantime, there's still plenty of questions about how the first segment of remote learning is going to work. So what we want you to do is we want you to text your questions. There's a number there. It's down there at the bottom as well, 336-379-5775. We are extending our question and answer time with Guilford County school leaders today so that we can get more of your questions in, and it all starts at 5:15. Now, there's something very small that I want to call your attention to. What do you see on that screen?
A dot.
Okay. Yes, it's a dot. I thought you were going to say a square, but she got it. It's a dot. Oh. It could be a square or a dot, as in .gov.
Oh,
okay? So when you see an email come from an address with a .gov at the end, you know it's from the government.
Right, but how many people get emails from the government?
It used to be 0, but now there's going to be a whole lot of people because the census is sending out emails, but the scammers will be sending out emails too. So here's a quick look at the various email addresses you could be seeing in your inbox. Now, are you going to memorize all these? No. But the big deal is that it has a .gov on the end of the address. If it doesn't, don't answer the email. Why the government is sending out emails for the first time and why it could really be a problem, that's coming up at 6.
Well, still ahead, Girl Scout troop celebrating summertime traditions, now virtually, how the Scouts are moving campus from the outdoors inside and behind a computer screen. That's coming up next on the 4 to 5.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Let's be honest, this pandemic, it has left parents scrambling a bit. Do you go to school in person or online? Do you homeschool your kids? How do you keep them from falling behind? And that's why many parents are turning to online educational resources to help them pick up the slack. But as our sister station in Dallas explains, picking one is tougher than it sounds.
Go Noodle, Khan Academy, ABC Mouse, PBS Kids, and on and on. We've come a long way since the days of Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street. YouTube alone has hundreds, even thousands of channels filled with kid-friendly content. But with so many options, how do you choose?
Even for me, being a former teacher, it's very overwhelming.
Lauren Miner is a former teacher who now homeschools her kids and also creates educational curriculum. She says when looking for on-screen resources, the first step is simple: know your kids.
What do they easily engage with? Are they more tactile? Do they like working with their hands? And then what excites them? Do they get really excited about and feel successful when they complete a workbook page? Or do they feel really excited and successful when they do a science experiment?
Miner says one way to figure that out: try before you buy.
I would recommend looking into a few trials of programs right now and seeing which one your child really engages with and feels successful doing.
One potential option: Go Noodle. Quick, engaging videos designed to get kids and families moving. They've partnered with schools across the United States and have a YouTube channel and an app. It's a testament to the new thinking that not all screen time is created equal.
It's true. I think parents grapple a lot with sort of the guilt they feel around putting their kid in front of a screen. How does playing a game differ from watching a television program? How do different games differ from each other? So we're really all about making screen time active time.
The American Academy of Pediatrics seems to agree. They've got a screen time calculator on their website, healthychildren.org. Parents can use that to figure out just how much screen time is right for their family. But do what children see on those screens represent the real world? Researchers at Tufts University found the demographics shown on kids' programming present a different picture than what truly exists in America. With the country ripe for a change in how we talk about race, that means kids' shows have to change too. And they seem to be listening.
You know, it's about inclusivity, it's about diversity. How can we make sure that every child in America sees themselves reflected in Go Noodle in some way? And that's a big task, but we're not going to stop working until we've done it.
And experts say the best way to figure out what works best for you is to do some free trials. That way you can figure out what product best suits your child.
Well, you know, summer camps, that's a part of Americana, but of course this year they have to be a little bit different. That's why the Girl Scouts are going with what you could call Camp Virtual. Charlotte Elliott with Girl Scouts of the Carolinas gave us the details.
Okay, Charlotte, we know everything is virtual these days, but when I heard of virtual camps for the Girl Scouts, I said, okay, how does this work? So explain this to us.
Well, it's basically, we've taken your normal summer camp and we've gone ahead and put it virtually. So we have special summer counselors. So we hire your normal, college age students who are energetic, excited, bubbly, and very engaging with girls. And we have 3 days worth of activities, and we do 2 sessions a day. And we've done some cake baking, we've done some goo, we've done center stage where the girls put on a whole production. They did that through Zoom, which was actually very successful. It's been really exciting to be able to still give the girls that connection and those bonds they would normally get in person, but manage to foster an environment where they can do it online. And that's been the biggest success.
I think it's funny that when you think about this, people from our generation, it would be so unusual, but since they're all digital natives, as we like to call them, this probably isn't that big of a deal to them.
I've had a few conversations with parents as they've been trying to navigate it, and they're like, well, my daughter's already doing it, but I feel like I should be on there just to help her, but I don't understand how this works. And she's like, she's normally the one that tells me how to do it. It's very natural for them now, especially having done school like that in the lead up to camp, and obviously now school afterwards as well.
Do you think that this may stick around in some form even after the pandemic, just because they know how to do it?
Yes, and we will still be offering Girl Scout programming after the pandemic goes over. As we keep saying, the genie is out of the bottle. We've been able to engage over 3,000 girls from all over the country and some girls internationally as well with the programming this summer. It's going to be here for a while. I would be shocked if it goes at this point.
Yeah.
It's very easy and accessible for everyone.
Absolutely. Charlotte, thanks for taking time today. Good luck with the camps. It sounds awesome.
Thank you so much.
And if you'd like more information on this, I have linked you to their website. You just look for this story on WFMYnews2.com. All right, as long as we're talking about Girl Scouts, you can't not talk about cookies. That's the way it works. Today is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, in case you didn't know. So I asked you on Facebook, what is your favorite cookie? Not necessarily just chocolate chip. People, there's some agreement here. Let's take a look at it. Donna Johnson Hill says chewy chocolate chip and pecan sandies, or pecan sandies, depending on where you're from. Dale Vogler says, I make them with butterscotch morsels instead of chocolate. They are delicious. That sounds really good. Maria Freeman Mabe says white chocolate with macadamia nuts. That is one of my favorites. Leanne Hamilton goes back to the original chocolate chip. And then Jay says the same thing, white chocolate macadamia nut from Subway or homemade. I would have to say that it would be impossible for me to nail it down to one, but I can tell you something funny that people make fun of me for. I like shortbread cookies, those Lorna Doones I love, and everybody makes fun of me.
I won't make fun of you. Tanya Rivera is behind the scenes here too. She's not making fun of you. We agree. I love all
those
cookies. I even like oatmeal raisin cookies.
I don't like the raisin.
I'm making fun of Eric. Those things are bland. They taste like cardboard.
Everybody
Anyway,
says that.
My favorite cookie would have to be, just a standard chocolate chip. But I can't leave this segment without mentioning my mom's homemade from scratch oatmeal cream cookies. She makes the cookies from scratch, makes the icing from scratch, and now I'm going to have to call her and have her make some of those.
And then you're going to have to deliver some to the station so we can all try, because I mean it's research, right, for this hard-hitting news story that we're talking about right now. I think so. Chilton, you'll agree, I know.
Always.
All right, keep chatting with us about cookies if you want. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Use our hashtag 4to5.
All right, let's talk triad weather. Isaias is gone from North Carolina. It's a pretty quiet afternoon across the area, actually, although there are a few downpours moving across our foothills. You can see where those are if we zoom in a little closer. One near Wilkesboro, one in Surrey County and Stokes County as well. But most of us do stay dry tonight. By the way, checking in on Isaias, it is about 20 miles west of Albany, New York, moving into Canada, racing away too at 40 miles per hour. As we head into your Wednesday, we're going to have a cold front stalled out pretty close by in our foothills. That is going to give us a better chance for some of those afternoon showers and thunderstorms. We keep that good chance as we head towards the end of the week. Partly cloudy skies tonight around 70. Isolated shower storm can't be totally ruled out though. For your Wednesday, warm, muggy, upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. Watching for some afternoon showers and storms, but it's typical summertime weather heading into the weekend.
I'm Stacey Spivey, and here's a look at what's trending online in your social snapshot. Do you remember the children's book Goodnight Moon? Well, many of you probably read it to your children at bedtime, but now there will soon be a pandemic parody called Good Morning Zoom. This book will be a narrative about Zoom, bread baking, homeschooling, and other familiar parts of life during the pandemic. The book's fans include talk show host James Corden, who read it on The Late Late Show. All author net proceeds will be donated to coronavirus relief charities, and I'm sure a lot of moms will be picking up copies when it's released in October. And we want to wish this mom a very happy birthday. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex and wife to Prince Harry, is celebrating her 39th birthday today. Britain's royal family wishing her a happy birthday on Twitter in a show of friendliness after a rocky period that saw the couple move to the U.S. As you may remember, the couple and baby Archie moved and gave up their official royal roles. But to many of us here in the States, she's still considered royalty. That's a look at your social snapshot.
Still ahead on WFMY News 2 at 5, we continue our coverage of then Hurricane Isaias after it slammed into North Carolina's coast overnight. Hear from a Greensboro man who rode out the storm inside his Holden Beach home. What he lost as the storm surge rushed into his basement. That's ahead.
Hi, mic check, 1 2 3 1 2 3. We are in Winston-Salem.
Hi there in North Myrtle Beach, the Sea Captain Pier.
Hi, Alabama, Alaska.
Forgotten to text you. Hi, Maddie's doing a mic check.
Hello, hello. I just realized my mic was off, but now it's on. 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3.
Hello, ice cold milk and an
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's time for my 2 cents. I think we've all found some new ways to stay sane during this crazy time. Maybe it's a new hobby or starting a new television show or even learning to bake bread. Something else to do, something to focus on to take our minds off of this madness. For me, it's changed every month. So first I started cooking at home more. Then I downloaded TikTok. I started learning French and I watched a ton of Netflix. Now my new distraction is walking. Yeah, every night, weather permitting, a friend and I set out on our daily stroll. It's a constant in this life that always seems to be changing. So the funny thing is, I've never liked walking until now. I mean, it was fine, it just wasn't my preferred activity. But these days, I'm disappointed when I can't go. There's something about getting outside and moving after being stuck inside in front of a computer for most of the day. There's something about seeing other people, even when it's from a distance, about smiling and waving at strangers as we pass on the trail. Plus, you get the added benefit of exercise, and experts say it's one of the safest activities we can do in the world of COVID. Most of all, it creates a sense of normalcy, something we've all been craving since the end of March. There's so much we still shouldn't do during the pandemic, but there are things we can do. So until we're back to being able to live without worrying about the virus, you'll find me walking. That is, until I find a new distraction. That's my 2 cents, and that's your 4 to 5. WFNY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
A closer look at the destruction left behind by Hurricane Isaias. 2 people were killed when a suspected tornado hit this mobile home park. 12 others were taken to the hospital.